Right, guys, welcome back to the More Bodybuilding Podcast. Ruben may be joining us, but we're unsure on his whereabouts right now. So I think we'll just kick it off with a little catch up. So Ben, firstly, how is prep for you, mate?
Ben's dropped out.
Wicked.
Ben's dropped out.
Great start.
What a great start. Amazing. I thought
Great
that was going to be
start.
Ruben then as well. That'd have been so funny.
Hopefully that's not a representation of his prep, but yeah.
Right. How are we all doing? Yeah. So I mean, my end, good boys. I'm really good. I'm tired. I'm very, very tired, but otherwise very good. I've got a consultation with Cuba on Saturday morning.
A business consultation or?
No, just do you know what? This is going to sound really weird, but I feel like maybe I'm just looking into this. Maybe this is just an entire bodybuilding, like a bodybuilder problem. But we started talking a bit more over the last couple of weeks, especially with obviously the conversation about him coming on the podcast. He said, like, we were just talking about, but like, he fucking loves bodybuilding, man. I'll give him that, right? Like, he loves it, man. Like, I've never seen him laugh or smile, but we got talking about bodybuilding. We just got started getting into it, especially the nitty gritty stuff, because the things that I'm starting to like encounter now with my weight, my height, my food, like really nuanced things. And he was having a great time answering all of my questions. He fucking loved it. And we got into it, and he was like, right, send me this, because I spoke to Louis as well. I literally messaged Louis today, and I was like, look, mate, I'm having a consult with Cuba. It's nothing on you. It's an opportunity for me to learn. And he's a big dude. He's an open bodybuilder. He's more closer to my height. I think there's a potential to learn. And Lou was like, mate, do it. Like, you fucking go out there and have as many consults as you want. Learning is just better for me and you. I was like, yeah, Sam. But yeah, got a consult with him. It's largely just because I know how fucking obsessed he is about with being the best bodybuilder he can be. And whilst I know Louis is the same, I think Cuba is analytically and factually, this is the things that make you the best, and so these are the things that I'm going to do. Whereas Louis is like, has that, or he applies it a little bit differently, as in like, he personally will think that having no days off is more detrimental to his progress because having time off is a good thing, as an example. Whereas Cuba will be like, days off are a bad thing. We don't have days off. That's how he treats it. So Louis kind of reads between the lines as to what's good for him personally, whereas Cuba doesn't do anything like personal preference. He does what on paper is the best. I wanted to get into that a bit more. So I wanted a few things around my sleep, just making that better. Like, I've always struggled with my sleep when I'm, as I've got heavier and bigger, as I've got leaner, I've struggled with my sleep more. I've noticed that a problem that many people will experience on prep, and also if you end up getting bigger and drinking more water, and I'm pissing in the night. Doesn't matter what my sodium balance, potassium electrolyte is. I'm really trying to pull back on the water in the evening as well to try and prevent this. But I'm pissing in the night, and then because of where my body is at the moment with condition, my cortisol spikes at that point, and getting back to sleep is nigh on impossible. I literally can't do it. So if that piss comes at 3 a.m., I'm up at 3. Even if I go to bed even if I'm at bed at 10, if that piss comes at 3, I'm up. And what I do is, and he was saying, do you do this? Do you do that? You're not on your phone. You're taking glycine. You're taking these supplements, melatonin. I'm like, mate, everything. Yeah. He's like, what's your food like? And I was like, right, this is he said, send me a meal plan. I was like, all right. And then I realized we started getting into the realms of like, I'm taking up his time. So I said, let's actually have a consult. But we had a bit of a back and forth with that. He was like, yeah, it's you're getting up for a piss. Your cortisol spiking because of where you are at the moment. Your body wants food. And then once you've done that, like for a week, then you're building a habit, and your body will want to do that all the time. It's natural at that point. So we need to break the habit, but we also need to try and prevent. So he said, you're probably still going to get up around those times, but we need to try and reduce the need for urination, but also you need to be really, really careful with what you do when you get up for a piss. He said all the outside, all the landing lights, need to be off. Every light needs to be off. You can't have any lights. You can't look at your phone. Nothing. He said you need to keep your eyes relatively closed on the way to the toilet. You want to be moving really slowly. Even if you're desperate for a piss when you get up, just move very, very slowly, nasal breathe only, get back in bed. And another thing that I realised I did, and he said this, I didn't even realise I was doing it. He went, I bet you're getting in bed, aren't you? You're getting back in bed after you've gone for that piss, and you're worrying about the fact that you're not going to go back to sleep. And I was like, well, yeah, of course. He was like,
as soon as you start to think, is this game over?
Yeah. It was like, stop, you can't do that. And so nasal breathe. When you get back in bed, don't put any pressure, because you're going to get up anyway. So it's like, don't put any pressure on it to get back to sleep. But try not to think about it. And the way you need to do that is just focus on your breathing. You went, just get back in bed and just say, I'm going to commit to 20 minutes of just lying here and doing nothing, and just think about your breathing. Just consciously just think about nasal breathing. And I was like, all right. Didn't do it that night. Did it the following. Oh, and then he told me to also take the rice out of my meal one and put it in my last meal,
just to encourage a bit of deep
the first
sleep.
night I did it. The first night I did it, I woke up at 2:30, so even earlier. But I slothed my way to the toilet, had a piss, got back in bed, straight back to sleep, woke up at 5:30. So I slept from 9 till 5:30.
Mate, you need to get one of those like medical bins where you just piss in it on the side of your bed.
What's the thing that they put up your dick and you can just stay in bed and piss?
Yeah, I'm a consistent one at night, but I never have that issue. I'm blessed. Like, I wake up and I'm like, you've seen that Yoda meme where he's like half asleep? I can just have a piss. 30 seconds later, I'm gone. It's so nice.
No matter what I do in terms of water content or electrolyte balance, I will need to get up bursting for a piss. But as soon as I've went, I can get back in bed and I'm gone again.
I think most people who properly hydrate will do that. I think that's relatively normal.
Yeah,
it's quite rare to sleep through the entire night. So
another one that he did, that he told me to do, and so I did this the second night. So the first night I still got up early, but I managed to get back to sleep, and the sleep generally was much better. The following night, went to bed it was about 9:45. I fell asleep, and I woke up at 4:45. That was pretty much all the way through. And I actually did go for a piss, went back to sleep, woke up about 45 minutes later. But he told me to have a teaspoon of baking soda before bed. He was like, a little bit of water, baking soda, maybe put some supplement in it or something, maybe some juice. And he went, just down that. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck that did. But I mean, I chat GPT then. I was like, that doesn't sound good. Because I thought, surely that sits on your stomach and gives you some shit. But I just had it with my last meal. Didn't seem to have any digestive issues. Like, long term, they said, don't do that. Like, that's not, like, ChatGPT was like saying, don't do that because it can interfere with like electrolyte balance and whatnot. But I'm assuming it just soaks up every little bit of fucking moisture and it stops you needing a piss.
Yeah.
Can imagine so. Yeah, I think that consult you have with Kuba will be valuable. During my prep, like, I watched so many of his videos just to see how he operates, because you can take a lot from it. Like, the way he operates day to day is purely bodybuilding, and it's very,
when someone's that obsessed with it, like, of course, there's always going to be something to learn from that person. Like, he is so knowledgeable. He's just, like, as you were saying, Max, there's just, in terms of coaches, it's just a spectrum, isn't it? And he's very, very black and white. And it's just whether you sort of hack that sort of style of coaching. Like, he'll just tell you how it is, and there isn't, I find he probably wouldn't meet you in the middle on many issues at all. It's like, this is better for you. You can choose to action that or not. It's up to you.
That's exactly it.
But yeah,
there's something else as well is with Kuba. Is I think he's I actually think, in terms of like genetically, whilst obviously he has got to have great genetics to be where he's at, I actually think, in terms of where he's at, his physique, the progress he's made, the muscle he has, I think he's far superseded his genetic ability, and he's done that through, or he's absolutely maximizing his genetic ability to its utmost. I don't think he's like, he's just genetically gifted. Like, you can just tell with some bodybuilders, you're like, yeah, they've got good genetics, and in the background, they probably aren't that militant. In the background, they probably aren't religiously going to bed and getting 8 hours sleep every night. Kuba pulled his O-ring out, mate, and he flew through the app, and it's all literally everything. It's just blue. It's the same every fucking day, same amount of hours, same amount of REM sleep. Everything is perfect, and it's like, he just, I don't think, I hate that, like, don't miss. I hate a lot of the JP adages, to be honest, but like, that cunt does not miss. I'll say that. Yeah. And that's why he's made so much progress.
Yeah, he's definitely surpassed what would be possible for him if he wasn't like 100%
militant
on it.
Yeah,
definitely.
And he said the reason I got the inspiration to have the consult with him is because I was going back and forth with him, and I was like saying, he's like, "What are you doing? This? What's this? What's that?" And I'm like, "Well, this is what I'm doing." He's like, "That's good. Yeah, that's good." But he's like, "The next problem is going to be this," and I was like, "I think I'm encountering that now, actually." Because we were talking about that's how we got into the sleep, and he was like, "Well, how do you sleep?" And I'm like, "Well," I said, "Do you sleep on your back?" Because apparently that's and I struggle sleeping on my side. He was like, "No," he said, "I've never slept on my back. I don't wear a sleep out. I sleep on my side." I went, "Well, how the fuck do you sleep on your side when I can't sleep on mine? Like, you're heavier than me and shorter than me." And he went, "Well, I have this set up and this, and I put a pillow here and a pillow between my legs, and I have a pregnancy pillow that runs under my arm, and I have to hug it like this, like, and I have to have so many." And he's like walking me through it, and I'm like, "Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, to be fair." And I've tried to get into these positions before, but the pillow under the arm one, like the pregnancy pillow to hug and having it on, like that's the next thing, I think, for me. And it's these little things that I've not encountered, which I could spend literally months or sometimes even years trying to work out for myself. That call would just answer all of those questions within minutes.
It's the attention to like the finest details that he's just on it with.
Yeah.
Like for most people, they just wouldn't even think about that. They'd just be like, "Nah, can't sleep on my side. It's shit." So, but he's like,
"What do you think about
his? How can I?"
Sorry, man. Go on, mate. Carry on.
Go on. No, go on. I was pretty much done there.
What would you think about the training, Max? Like, would your training change a lot with Cuba, do you think, compared to Louis' approach, or no?
No, I think training is way too nuanced. That my approach with training when it comes to clients is I have a method which I know which works up to a point, and then I remain open-minded enough to deviate from that method where required at the time that it is required by. Up until that point, I'm like, I'm not interested. The beauty of a top set back off set is it does a lot early doors for a lot of young and intermediate or even high level bodybuilders. But like, I think it does a lot in the way of it reduces the total volume and instantly in someone's head it tricks them into thinking they're not doing as much, so they can work harder in those sets. Like, there's definitely a mental barrier to someone going, "Yeah, you've got to do 3-4 sets on like a half a dozen exercises." When you think that, immediately you're not going to be able to go to true failure on your first set. No way. You're holding back. And that mental the mental stress and strain that would have on someone, I just think it's a lot to try and commit to that going into a training session. So that's initially off the bat is great. I think also acknowledging that you're going to be lifting heavy load on a top set back off set on top sets, I think it encourages people to be way more careful with the weight that they move. So that immediately makes you a bit more self-aware and mindful. And then on the back off sets, I think it gives you an ability to maybe connect more with muscles that you wouldn't otherwise with those lower loads. So it's like it's doing a lot very early doors in the way of teaching you fundamentals of like training. But then when you start talking about like what's optimal for muscle growth, I think once you've mastered those basics that I've just mentioned there, then you can start looking into things that feel a bit more nuanced. Like, I know for a matter of fact, doing 3 straight sets on the same weight on a leg extension is far, far, far more productive for my quads and to save my knees than the alternative, which is a top set back off. Like, if I try and do a top set back off set on a leg extension now, I can do the prime and then I put a gym pin on and then I put 30 kilos on. My knees are shagged. My body is in so much pain afterwards, and it makes me feel ill, and I go home feeling ill. Whereas when I do it now, I'm making continuous progress. Like the 15 that I do 15, 15, 15 on just the stack. The first 15 is like 4 reps in reserve. The second 15 is like a rep in reserve, and then I don't even think I get 15 on the third. So I'm getting to failure, but I'm already very pre-exhausted to that third set. It feels amazing. Every week I'm able to progress it. Like I can measure the progress a lot better, and then I come away from the session not feeling like I need to sleep. I'm in bits.
Yeah.
And for me personally, like, my opinion of that is that is just more productive. You know, how you apply that to maybe other things is. It is, I guess I'm open-minded. I'm open-minded to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I think particularly for, like YouTube, Ben, I saw your post. You were doing quite a lot of weight on that hack squat at Apollo. I don't think I've quite reached that sort of level of strength where, like, don't get me wrong, I can bury myself, but when you get properly strong doing top set, back off set, I think you have to be really careful. And that's where you sort of look at an approach like what you've just said, Max, because yeah, it gets to a point where you're doing so much weight so accurately. It's joints and all that as well. You're just going to be battering yourself. So yeah, it is interesting.
There's so much.
What do you think about
training? There's so much like. It's difficult, isn't it? Because top set, back off set is very good, but you can also like. It gets to a point where you run it for so long that it just does become quite tedious. So when we've moved into like that quad sort of training that you just mentioned, Max, with my quads especially, but that's been so much more enjoyable. It's been something different. Like working with these higher reps it's a different challenge. It's fun. So I think there's no real set way when it comes to training. I think as long as you are providing a stimulus over time and you're making that stimulus harder and you're progressively overloading, that's going to cause an adaptation.
And you're somewhat accurate.
And you're somewhat
accurate. I think that's also that's a big thing. Like Ben, do you remember when you came up to Ultraflex last time around and we trained back and we were doing that new granite row? It arrived not long before you got there, right? We did that granite, and do you remember? Like I did 3 plates on it, and you did 2, and I was like, "Fucking hell, you're nearly as strong as me." And so since then, I've dropped down to 2, and honestly, feels way better. Right? I know I'm not weaker because I could put 4 plates on it now if I wanted to. But the way that I move it, the way that I shift that weight, the way that it feels, and the way that I feel after the session, that for me just goes to show how important being like having some kind of eye on a connection, how important that is, as well as trying to drive load.
I know people say like obviously your connection isn't what grows muscle, but I think it's so important to feel a movement properly. I think obviously moving weight is going to grow muscle, but like Ben mentioned earlier, it gets to a certain point where you're moving so much weight that your joints are just getting battered. It's just not productive. Whereas if you reduce that weight, connect, just really, really like utilize the tension through that muscle, it feels so much better. You feel better after it. And since I've done that, especially with my quads, like they have grown way more.
I think people misunderstand what accuracy is. And I think when someone goes, "Do you train accurately?" I go, "Yeah," because I'm thinking I have a very good connection with the muscle I'm using. Not because of how it looks externally, right? Yeah. Like someone can, great example, right? When he was younger, 3 years ago, like 2.5 years ago, Ruben came to train with. I think we all trained. I think Ben, you were there as well. We came and trained. He trained with Pierce, me and Pierce. We were doing legs. He was on the leg extension. Oh, you were there, yeah. So we were on the leg extension.
He did that brutal leg press set, didn't he?
That was it. And he did that, and I think he did one beforehand. And he said, and I was watching him do it externally, right? If someone was to record that and post it, they'd go, "That was a great set."
Perfect.
Because you did what people assume you must do to be accurate. But then Pierce was like, "Right, when you're going for your working set, do everything you've just done, but in your head, when you're going through the eccentric, have it in your head that you're pressing back up even when it's coming down, but just at about 70%, so the weight is still coming down, right?"
Ever since that, I use that cue with everyone for a press, for a leg. It's such a good cue, even for any sort of like eccentric that's coming back on yourself. It's so good. Like,
if you're actively thinking about actively pushing. I was about to do the press. That's what I do. So that's how I've learned to build a connection with my chest. If you actively think about pushing against the weight as it's falling onto you are quite literally engaging the muscle more. Just because of that like mental cue. From there, like so that even though the time under or the length of time that you're doing the rep and sets could be identical, the accuracy is higher, and the accuracy is higher because you connect better. So is accuracy is accuracy some kind of external visible thing, or is accuracy a neurological connection that you develop. And
I think it has to
my
be.
take on that is it's the latter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it
definitely
has.
the
There
latter
has to be some sort
for
of
what you're saying.
neurological thing, because the more you can connect, I would imagine the more motor units you can recruit, and that's what's going to make it actually feel better subjectively for you. But that's the problem I have with the JP narrative, is you can look at two sets and, like you say, externally they look exactly the same, but the feel is different. And that there has to be something has to be accounted for there in terms of some invisible process that is happening, which makes that set different and feels better and ultimately gives you more stimulus. So
Yeah.
I think it's just being about objective about when you get off an exercise, about the stimulus you've created. Like, do I just feel shagged, or does the area I've tried to train and target feel really, really stimulated, and there's great blood flow, and like paying attention to those proxies like a pump and things like that.
Yeah.
Whilst a
Yeah.
pump isn't directly important,
Also,
like it's blood flow, isn't it? So it's an indication that you're training properly.
I also think I think it obviously, the situation you're in is going to dictate how well your pump is. Like when you're deep in a prep, deep in a diet, your pump's never going to be great, is it? Compared to when you're full of food. But I still think like there's a reason why all the old school bodybuilders chase the pump, because there is method to it. Like it works.
100%. And like you said, I keep saying Ben.
Both of
Natty
us.
Ben. The reason, well, yeah, both of you. We were talking about the whole JP thing though, like, and do you know what frustrates me? I'm not going to go on the same tangent I went on the last podcast, I promise. What frustrates me about JP is over the years, he's ever so slowly and very intelligently wormed his way into explaining his meaning or definition of progression, into making it ever so slightly different, but also the same. So that what he said previously still applies, but it is different because he's given more. He's given more context to what he said. Like years and years ago, he would say, "Just get strong." Right. Well, that's not true, right? Because there are a lot of big guys who aren't that strong. I mean, me as an example, right? I'd say I'm pretty big, and I'm fucking weak as piss, right? And a lot of movements. Some of my biggest body parts or muscles are no, mate. They are like when me and you trained at Ultraflex, Ben, and you were doing 2 plates aside on that granite row. I'm also doing 2 plates aside for a set of 10, and I don't mean like it. I mean like legitimately, lats are on fire. Couldn't do any more. Right? If I was throwing it around like a dickhead, yeah, I could probably be stronger. But it's all context, and it's all your perception of what is being said. When JP takes 20 IUs of growth hormone, 50 units of insulin, and 4 grams of gear, and then he rips 300 kilos off the floor, and he goes, "To get big, you've just got to get strong," right? And when he's spewing that message a decade ago, do you really think it's him getting strong that's making him big? Or do you reckon it's just because he's moving a lot of weight and he's also taking 4 grams of gear, 50 units of insulin, and 20 IU of growth hormone? Is there a better way to get him bigger at that point than what he's doing? Even though what he's doing is working, it's a very a very veiled message, isn't it? Like I could tell anyone how to train to build muscle if I took a fuck ton of gear and I could tolerate it. Like I could tell people to do fucking squat jumps and handstands to get big if I was going to get big taking that amount of gear. I don't like that message.
If it was just a case of get strong, build muscle, powerlifters would be better than bodybuilders. Like they would have more muscle.
Exactly.
There's powerlifters that are super fucking strong and they are small.
Yeah.
Like they don't even look like they have muscle sometimes, and they can rip weight off the floor that I would never touch.
I think his narrative as well is it will just make you feel shit about yourself, like you're not doing enough and you're not working hard enough, and it's just as simple as turning up and progressing. And there'll be young lads seeing his content going, "I'm shit, like I'm not doing enough, I'm not progressing," and it's just not that simple, and there's so much more going on in the background, like Max says, with gear and other things to consider there. Just
yeah, there's
and then obviously
comes into training,
and then obviously that message is and do you know, and honestly, I'm going to get into this on the podcast with Kuba, but do you know who's changed that message? Who's JP has changed that message over the last couple of years, but because of Kuba, and because Kuba now, I think Kuba coaches JP. JP now repeats Kuba's message. So I actually think Kuba is even though he followed JP and that message, Kuba is the leader here. Kuba is the one that if you actually listen to what Kuba says now, I think I've actually got a lot of respect for Kuba. I think he can be a bit brash and he can be a little bit confrontational at times. But in terms of like his work rate and his intelligence and self-awareness around all these things, I'm very impressed. I think Kuba has followed a message that's been pushed onto him by, or not pushed onto, but has been encouraged by JP. Kuba has gone away and he's been self-aware enough to go, this message in part works, but it's not complete. And now if you go away and watch Kuba, he preaches, it's almost like he doesn't want to go back on the narrative that was being pushed by JP because there's respect there. But then he also adds this other bit, this other part of the equation, which is accuracy, right? But then there's the accuracy side. But then if you listen to actually how he explains accuracy, it's not a movement pattern or time under tension. He gives very specific cues internally, like mental cues as to what you need to be thinking about when you're doing things, so that you have a better connection, right?
Yeah.
So all of a sudden we come back around again to like connection is king, not load. And like it's Kuba that's driving that message. And because he coaches JP goes, yeah, accuracy. Do you know what I mean? So I'm a bit like
Cuba's training's changed a lot. It's changed a lot. If you watch his old stuff compared to his new stuff now, it's like he's not burying himself anymore. He's very careful with his volume.
No.
Oh, he actively says that he doesn't go in and bury himself anymore because in terms of tracking progression, you can't track it. So like he says, like he will take it as close to failure as he can, but as soon as those reps are losing the quality, that's it. It's cut off there.
Those training days,
how he can track progression.
When him and AJ would just go in and train legs, like if I want to get fired up for a session, I'll go back and watch one of them. Like, mate, mental. On the sidebacks half.
Yeah, they were heavy.
Absolute mental. Mate. What AJ used to do on that sidebacks used to scare me. I remember him putting reels on, and I was like, "What even is that?"
How?
He's so strong at hack squat. Like, yeah. I can't even fathom it.
But then I do think that AJ's got a great physique. But then I do, let's revert back to everything that we've just said there, right? Okay, AJ's not on gear. Right? I get that, and that's definitely something that needs to be taken into this. But sometimes with how AJ trains, it's very much like a powerlifter. Like how he drops into the hole, how he shoots out the bottom, right? How he doesn't like. It does make me wonder if he was maybe a little less aggressive. And sometimes he's not aggressive at all. Sometimes, and this is the whole enjoyment aspect. Like the enjoyment part is a part of this equation.
There's another factor, isn't it, of training? There's so much in this.
And then this is it. And like you've got to build this equation up, and then all of a sudden you've got like, what's the most important thing to you? Like, is it? And obviously these are percentages as well. It's not just a 1 + 1 = blah blah. It's like a percentage of this plus a percentage of that plus a percentage of this equals this. And like you've got to consider your ability. You've got to consider your priorities, your enjoyment, and then what you can learn or what you can apply of what you know. And it's all these, and this is why it's so different. And this is why I don't think there is a right or wrong, because you are fulfilling your own equation based on what you know about yourself. And I think this is why I revert back to Kuba. Kuba's equation is he enjoys what's best. He's very, very intelligent. He's very, very self-aware, and he can apply it. So I'm very confident in saying that what Kuba does in terms of like his training, the cues that he has, the way that he conducts himself, the way that he executes the movements, I would confidently say that Kuba probably is as close to about perfect when it comes to making progress in the gym, stimulating muscle effectively as it gets. I mean, that's obviously there's nothing to define that, but based on what I know about him, and how my training has changed, and this is what I'm saying about this, I feel like there's similarities between us. How my training has changed, it's very similar to how his is now. I feel like that's because I enjoy progress more now than ever, right? And so, but I also need to accommodate like injuries and my needs. So yeah. It's interesting.
A
I like these
perfect,
kind of conversations.
a perfect example of this. I'm just searching it now because I've forgotten the guy's name. I'm going to do it for naturals because that's obviously a lot of the content I'm consuming. Keith West lifts
Yeah.
weights in a fashion which is like the get strong fashion, right? He's crazy strong. He shifts weight from A to B. He's probably not thinking a whole lot about how it feels. This other guy, he's an MBW athlete. Can't remember his name. He's called like, I think he's Mike Emmerich, maybe a German guy. If you look at his training, it's stretch, it's squeeze, it's light, it's contraction. It's kind of very similar to how I feel I train. Both top level, immense natural bodybuilders. So it's like you could literally do either, and it's figuring out what works for you. And I think, like you're saying, Max, I love that like stretch, like it's a bit pony, that like sort of stretchy, squeezy style training where you feel everything so much. And yeah, that's my approach as opposed to just I'm just simply going to get stronger at this week in, week out, and that's what's going to build my muscles. Yeah. What's this guy's name, man? I think
it feels way more bodybuildery at its core as well. Like there's just something very there's like something very soulful about that way of training. I think. Like I know there's a time and a place, you know, about that Dorian-esque, but like honestly, the way that we train, the way that we like the how we conduct ourselves in our like bodybuilding training approach, it's very old school Arnold-esque style, contraction, squeeze, pump, and then look to progress on that. Like for me, the logbook is such a good tool because the logbook tells me what I'm doing outside of the gym is complementing what I'm doing in the gym. But like when I go and train, I don't obsess about the logbook. I obsess about how it feels. Like my focus, the logbook is at that point kind of irrelevant. The numbers are reflected almost month to month, not week to week or session to session, because progress, when you spend so much time focusing on a feel and a connection and having a good, and what feels subjectively like a good session, progress at that point in terms of numbers aren't going to come week to week. They just aren't. That it just does not work like that. They're going to come month to month.
I don't know if you have this, Ben, but I've spoken to Max about this quite a lot. But I'm quite bad for sort of looking at my logbook and then if things aren't progressing from a numbers perspective, like getting angry about that. But I think I only get angry when I think I had the rep and it was because of like a focus or a psychological reason that I didn't get the rep. That's when it'll annoy me. If it genuinely wasn't there from like a loading perspective, then I can sort of sit with that and live with it and accept that there's going to be weeks where it fluctuates. But I don't know if you have that, or do you just not deep the numbers at all?
Mate, I stopped using a logbook for a long time. My relationship with a logbook was shit. It was horrible. Like it would dictate my sessions massively. I would either get anxious because I'm like I need to beat these numbers, or I would go in the gym aiming to beat the numbers and ruining the quality of my sets to try and beat them. And at that point, my sessions are just declining, and it's not worth it. So I left the logbook for a while, and I just went very much on feel and how that session felt. And then I came back to the logbook when I was a little bit more mature with my training. And now I have like a good relationship with it, very much the same as what Max was just mentioning. I don't let it dictate my sessions. It's more of like a tool and data just to see how everything else is affecting my training through the numbers. But yeah, I think logbooks are very beneficial, but they can be a detriment if you use them wrong, especially in the case I was.
I think if you anyone that's watching this, I think the goal should be I actually think you should go in phases. I think a logbook initially, just to get an idea of what you're doing. And then I think after a certain amount of time, I think you should fuck it off. I think give it a couple of months. And then once you've got a feel for things, fuck it off. And then reset your lifts without your logbook. And the main focus should be, how can I make this as difficult as possible with the lightest weight as possible? Like my flex is that I am going to be the weakest bodybuilder in the gym. That's the mindset. And then run that for 6 months with that mindset every time you go into the gym, and then start logbooking. Because once you've developed that connection to training, the logbook then becomes obsolete. Like it's kind of like meaningless to a point, and it's just numbers. That's it. But what you said a minute ago about press. Like for me, I would do the same. Like, I'm like trying to press more. I'm trying to do another rep, and like every session I'm going in, and I'm like, to be better, I need another rep. And so knowing that, what do all my other reps look like in this new session that they didn't look like the week before?
Not as good.
They're reduced quality because I'm worrying that I'm not going to get more reps. So I reduce the quality to get more reps, and that's far worse in terms of trying to make progress than the alternative.
Yeah, I think when you're new to the gym or getting into it, a logbook's very, very beneficial because it gives you like tangible evidence that you're progressing and can motivate you because you can see those numbers go up. I think when you learn to be what we've just described, more accurate and connect better to movements, and you just have better training knowledge, you should probably bin it off for a little bit and then really focus on just nailing your connection, getting that down, and getting that in a really good spot. And then you could bring that logbook back in. I think that's the best way to run it, like you just mentioned.
What are you going to do, Ben? Oh, sorry, go on. Ben, finish.
No, carry on. So I'm going to go on to another point after this.
What do you think? Because you were showing me that thing that you've made. Like, where's your head at the moment with all of this? Because I do worry about you with this. Like, you have an obsessive nature. Like, you have an obsessive nature, and I do wonder it's going to take away from things.
I fucking love training. Like, I'm so in it. Like, and just thinking about all this different stuff. And even when I had that call with Ruben the other day, the physiology stuff is so interesting. It's just the stuff that I wish I learned at uni. And I'm just so passionate about it. But that was basically, it was off the back of a Cuba video, actually, watching that. And him explaining why his splits changed and looking at his volume and his frequency distribution across the week. But I'm starting to realise that like the sequencing and the quality of work, these are all factors that like you really need to be thinking about. Like, as much as we can, like I'll try and go into the gym and stay focused for 2.5 hours, but inevitably the work at the back end of the session suffers. Yeah. So it's like really looking at like how the volume is distributed. I personally think like minimizing how many sets, but in my current approach, if I was to do what you guys were doing with like sort of what you were saying with your quads, it would look different. But in terms of like within my current intensity and current approach in training, because I am still very much top set back off, like how to distribute that volume with what frequency works best, and it's just keeping track of it. Like, everything's progressing nicely at the minute. Like,
you just love data, don't you?
Yeah, love data. Love like understanding why things are the way they are in training.
Yeah, that's fair.
I feel like I haven't explained that.
I think you'll develop a really good. No, you have. I think you'll develop a really. I think if you can just remain mindful, and really, take a step back. And remove the emotion from behind, all of these things. If you can do that, I think you're onto a winner. Like, because
it's removing the emotion attachment to it. Like, that's the main thing.
Information is power.
Yeah, if you can be incredibly obsessed with the data but not emotionally obsessed with it, then it's only going to progress. Like, you're only going to make progression because of it. As soon as you start getting emotionally attached to it, then you're going to run into problems. Then you're going to over obsess over it. So you just need to really just be like, this is data at the end of the day. I like looking at the data. If something's not as expected, why? Yeah. And just move on from it. Just don't let it like ruin your training or dictate how you feel about training because of it.
Max is like, I think, going to get very good at sort of identifying when I am getting to that point. Because I did this before, Ben. I had like a whole spreadsheet set up and I was tracking my lift progressions militantly. And then like I had like a colour schedule, and it was like if everything was green, it was like we're progressing volume because I'm progressing easily. So we're adding more sets there. And it just got to a point where I tried to understand everything too much. It stressed me out more, and then it took away from everything.
Exactly right.
And I think Max is going to have a keen eye for when I'm getting too into the minors.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
It was I sent you a voice note. Was it yesterday or today? I sent you a voice note literally earlier saying that, like, I was mindful of it straight away. I was like, it's a great idea, and if you think you can do it, great. But like let's fucking just be aware of what's happened previously.
Yeah. I think as long as it's coming from like a place of like passion as opposed to like stressing about it, it's fine. Like, ultimately, like
Yeah.
how I'm viewing it is important. Like, I just want to learn more as
Your
opposed
perception.
to I'm worried about this. Yeah.
Like I said, it's that emotional attachment, because sometimes you can try and find answers within this data, but the reality is there isn't an answer. And if you're just going to keep going around in circles, because sometimes the reason is it's just not progressed for whatever. Like, sometimes you won't have an answer to it. So sometimes you have just got to just be like, all right, it is what it is, move on, and we'll just continue from there. But anyway, boys, I've got like 15 minutes left, and I've got a couple questions, so we'll run through them. I like this one. If you could pick one brand of gym equipment, and it's the only brand you could use for the rest of your life, what would it be? It's hard.
Cybex.
I was going to say Cybex. For me, Cybex.
Jim Lacko.
I do really like the Nautilus Nitro range, though. That's a good range, but the rest of Nautilus is a bit dead. But I think if it was anything, it would be Cybex.
Yeah, I can get on enough with the Cybex leg extension and Cybex hamstring curl. I can get the Cybex row, Cybex pull down. No, not Cybex. It's Nautilus, isn't it? Fuck.
It is Nautilus. Yeah. I don't actually know if Cybex have like a decent pull down. From what I
One
remember,
brand
they have like
so hard.
The only thing they have is like a converging pull down, isn't it? One brand is very hard.
Yeah, because the Prime, straight away I went to Prime, but then I thought those fucking presses are awful.
There's a lot of Prime stuff where I'm like, there has definitely been a different engineer who's made this one compared to some of the others, because some of it is top tier, some of it feels fucking awful. Like the Prime shoulder presses are horrid. They are the worst I've used. Like, I cannot get on with them.
The plate loaded.
I was going to go really rogue then. Although Cybex Smith machine as well. Fucking hell.
I think Cybex has like the best bang for your buck through everything. To be honest.
And the other thing is as well, the Cybex the dual cable as well. That does everything. Pull down.
Exactly. Like if you need a pull down, you can use a cable, can't you? Like it's not a bad substitute. Whereas
cable pull downs are mint.
You can't really substitute like a decent hack squat or a decent leg press for something else, can you?
No.
Yeah, I'd go for Cybex.
I think Cybex is the best bet.
Yeah,
that's a good question. That got me thinking.
Yeah. Is there any rogue brands that you really like that people don't seem to talk about?
There's like a few, but it's like that range of kit, isn't it? Like Gym Lecco's not that rogue, or I'd say Gymshop for the rows. Like I really like the Gymshop rows. Like
those Gymshop rows, elite.
Yeah,
there's a few brands which have like a couple really good bits of equipment, isn't there?
Mate, there's some really, really, really unique ones in Le Coach. Honestly, the guy's collecting like the rarest bits of kit.
He's got some mega stuff there, hasn't he? I
couldn't even tell you the names of the brands.
Like an air pressure leg extension.
Or German. Yeah, like crazy. And honestly, they're all awesome. Like every single one over there is awesome. Yeah, I mean, I would love to get that kind of kit in a gym. Oh, also, just before we move on to the next question, I'm opening a gym.
I thought that was the case. I've seen the warehouse. I was like, what have you got? What have you got under your sleeve here? It's got to be a gym. Sick. Sick.
It's going to be bigger than Ultraflex.
Fucking hell.
I'll
be asking a lot of questions.
Yeah, being serious.
I've wanted to open a gym forever, so I'll be asking a lot of questions about this.
I've got a small stake in it, after a hefty deposit, after a hefty investment. But yeah, I'm going to be very much in like one of the figureheads of the gym. The branding is a brand called Real Leader. Because we've got a contract to basically kit out the gym with Real Leader equipment. However, me and Drew, who I train with, he's got me in on the project, to be fair, or him and his partner Eliza. And we've spoke. This isn't confirmed yet, but I think because we're very much like bodybuilders and the contracting with Real Leader, all that, but I think we're probably going to pull in a few like special pieces that we know that we need. Like all the Real Leader stuff is unbelievable. I've already been to one of the gyms. It's a chain, but we're like kind of running this one and we're making it our own.
I think it would only add to the gym if you handpick these special bits that
that's what I mean.
Brand of equipment isn't like necessarily hitting the best. So if you can just get these like little bits just to round off the whole gym. Bang on.
Honestly, mate, the Real Leader stuff. I know it sounds a bit bullshitty, but the Real Leader They're a Chinese brand. They've got a massive factory. Like I've not been, but I'm seeing some of the equipment. I've used some of the pieces that they've got, and they've basically, I don't know how they've fucking done it, but they basically knocked off a load of like Cybex, Nautilus, you name it. They've like put all the plate loaded with different cams. They've just, I don't know how they're getting away with it, but it's all very, very good stuff. There's just a few things that they've not been able to replicate, which I would want in.
Mate, the Chinese are on it. They
are.
They're on it. Like, my car's basically just a rip off Tesla, but it's better than a Tesla.
yeah, mate, yours is, and it looks nicer as well.
It looks so much nicer.
Max, have you got the time for that?
Yeah.
That is a good question.
I'll make time.
I'm just worried.
This is the problem, isn't it? Like, this is the problem when you have this sort of mindset. You want to like just like do loads of different things, and then you're like, I've got no time. There's like 4 or 5 different projects I want to do, but it's like I barely have enough time to do what I'm doing right now. How the fuck can I do that? It's not happening.
The way to get around it is delegate. That's the way. Like,
and you think I don't do that?
Well,
my time is delegated to the hour.
But for me, it's like, so obviously I've got Ben Hawksworth who's helping me run the business. I've got Ben Barber who's helping me run my YouTubes. I know I've still got to do a lot of the work, but these guys are like mapping everything out for me. They just tell me what to do, and I now get to just go and execute it. I've got you guys like down the line with. Yeah, I've got you guys down the line with Made for More, very much like involved, and you know how that responsibility, and then the your cut and stake in that is organised. I'm like very, very open minded and all of that kind of stuff. I just want to ultimately, mate, as we discussed in the previous podcast, I just want to have fun. I want to have a great life. I want to impact loads of people really positively. And I think building my own gym is really fucking cool. It also gives me a bit of a base to work out of. This brand is cool. Like, it's mint. People are really like feeding into it now, and like, I can feel it. And you guys very much part of that as well. And yeah, just love bodybuilding. Like, I'm the best I've ever looked. Like, I just feel like I can definitely. I do have the time. I can do it. It's going to be hard. Like, it's going to be fucking really hard, but nothing worth having comes easy.
I think you need to make like a little room in your gym, Max, a little podcast room, so we can do a proper. I think that's you've got your actual podcast as well, haven't you? So that would save a bit of money. But then we can get on one as well and get Ruben over here and finally do a proper one.
Easy, innit? You boys come up here, we'll throw the beds out, we'll go train at our gym. Go and train at my gym, and let's do a podcast together in there.
Awesome, man.
Yeah,
that's the goal. Someone write that down for a year's time.
Right, boys, I reckon I'm going to have to shoot now.
That's cool, mate. Have you got any more questions?
You
know what? We'll call it a day there, because...
Is he gone again? He dips, doesn't he? No, he's
Hello? No, I was going onto my Instagram because I got the most ludicrous question about my mother. So yeah, not very.
Well, what we'll do on the Sunday podcast, we'll just run through more questions because we've run out of time today. I'll
put a proper Q&A up because I've been getting some really good questions.
And we'll actually have Ruben here, hopefully.
And that.
So, yeah, we'll go from there. But yeah, if you've watched this far, thank you for listening. Hope you took something from it, and we'll see you in the next one.
Peace.
Guys, see ya.
Boys, it was a pleasure. Catch you in a bit.